Hi Ryan, how are you?
What's going on?
Doing well. How about yourself?
Good.
Nice to finally meet you.
And you, and you. How's everything going today?
It's been great. It's been great. No problems. Would you like me to give you a little rundown? I feel like I don't want you to be a little blindsided here.
Yeah, for sure. I was gonna ask you, I have like a real mic that I can clip. I don't know if it's gonna be better audio for you.
Honestly,
I can
let
just use headphones.
honestly, whatever you prefer. I've had people do different things. A lot of people just talk. Like I'm just using my computer audio.
Yeah, it just in terms of like because I also produce podcasts and stuff, so I just know that sometimes the Zoom audio isn't always the best. But let me try this and then you tell me if
Yeah.
I should sound a little bit clearer here.
Also, are you okay if I record this? Just making sure.
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
Sorry, are you okay if I record this?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, just I wanted to just so you know, I'm not just throwing it on.
No, I trust you.
That sounds good. I don't think that should be a problem.
Okay, great.
Yeah. So, yeah, this is our Meeting Our Mountaineer podcast. We helped create this through the Sport Management Alumni Network, which is something
Hmm.
we originated a little bit over a year ago. We felt that a lot of the alumni got disconnected via like COVID and even before that, just through the sport management program. And we wanted to start reaching back out. And I thought it would be a good idea if we could do like a sit down conversation based kind of thing. Um,
Yeah,
because you know more than anyone that it's easy to reach the youth via stuff like this, whether it's social media or YouTube or whatever
yeah,
it may be.
yeah. And then also, people who were in the program years ago might recognize someone or hear something and reach out and just keep the network going. It's great.
Oh yeah, it's a small world, and honestly, the like Mountaineer network, like how everybody helps each other out, is really awesome. That's part of
Yeah,
the reason like we started doing this. So
it's very smart for you. You're basically doing a bunch of job interviews, which is you're getting a lot of wisdom and you're getting a lot of amazing connections. So
I love it.
good,
I love meeting
good
new
job.
people, and then
Yeah. And
especially
what year are you?
yeah. So I'm a sophomore in the sport management program. I'm actually gonna be
Okay.
a junior next year,
Okay.
next semester. So I have a weird
Okay. That's
you have a
fine.
weird.
Where are you from?
I'm from Northborough, Massachusetts, a little outside of Boston.
Okay. I'm from
Uh,
Connecticut.
no way.
Yeah, I grew up in Connecticut. So
I have family in Fairfield.
okay, so
Yeah.
I'm not far from there. A little town outside of Danbury. So like literally like a half an hour away. So very familiar with Fairfield.
No way. My brother goes to Quinnipiac. He did his
Okay.
undergrad and now he's doing his master's there. He loves it.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good time to be a hockey fan there.
Oh, I know. I had him visit actually. He just came to the game last week and he
Oh,
was
cool.
wearing his hoodie and everything of the natty. I was like, dude, just you gotta put
Go
this on for
Bobcats.
now.
Yeah, go Bobcats. Um and are you involved in the like in the athletic department now? Are you doing anything with any of the teams or anything like that?
Yeah, so I had an independent study that was rooted through the Sport Management Alumni Network and was helping grow it, and that was my priority. And I'm
Okay.
gonna hold on to it, but next semester I want to get involved, like what you just said, with more of like a team based.
Yeah.
Um, well, I saw so you worked with the athletic club, right?
When I was there, yeah, that was one of the
Yeah.
things. Yeah, have we done the official kickoff to the episode yet?
Yeah. No, we're good. It's just flying. There's no, um, I'm not gonna do a whole intro or anything like that, so don't worry.
Okay, gotcha. Um, yeah, so one of the things, I mean, besides WVU being like an amazing sports
Mhm.
management program, I was offered an assistantship at the time through more through like the rec department. And what they did was they were stationing like people in either sports management or in some of like the health sciences to live in the dorms and get their students active in intramurals and different things that were being offered. So that was my assistantship. And then during the summer and then into the season, I worked for the Mountaineer Athletic Club. So that
Mhm.
was a really cool experience. And that's when Rich Rodriguez was there.
Yeah.
Those were the Pat White, Steve Slayton days, and it was an amazing time to be affiliated with the football team, especially, and just getting to meet a lot of like amazing alumni. And I'll never forget this story. So we were working a donor party at Rich Rodriguez's house, and my job was to drive the golf cart, getting the donors from their cars to Rich Rod's house, which was down, it's West Virginia. His
Yeah.
driveway was like basically down a mountain. So
Mhm.
you have some of these like older, just less mobile donors. And I was just going around, and you pick up anyone you see that needs a ride back and forth. And some people say yeah, some people say no, whatever. And I pulled up, and Milan Pushkar comes out of his car.
No.
And yeah, and he's not a young guy, so he asked for a ride, and I gave him and his family a ride down to the house and back up. And this man pulled out a wad of cash out of his pocket like this. I think he tipped me like $100 that night to drive him to and from his car, which in total couldn't have been more than a quarter mile. So that's just like a funny story from that time. But no, the program was unbelievable to be involved with, and just to get any kind of experience with the team was one of the big reasons I chose to go to WVU over a smaller school or a smaller program, because I wanted to be where the basketball team was good, the football team was good, and then the actual like program itself that I was getting into was strong. And so it was just like the
Yeah.
perfect mashup at that time in my life.
What a story, though. You'll never forget that.
I will never forget the amount of money coming out of Milan Pushkar's pocket at that time. So
He really
yeah,
pulled out just like a.
yeah, it was insane. It was insane. And but obviously a very nice man as well. So
Oh, I'm sure.
yeah, that was just one of the fun stories from that time.
Yeah, that's amazing. Because I saw, I mean, obviously I read up on you a little bit. You were pretty involved even for being just doing your master's here, right?
Yeah, well, that was kind of one of the things, was like being um being involved. I graduated from the University of Missouri with my bachelor's in broadcast journalism, but at the time when I was like 21, 22, I wasn't 100% sure that that's what I wanted to do. I got a job in sports marketing, which was totally eye-opening to the sports industry. We had clients like XM Satellite Radio. We had Sunoco, some NASCAR events. We were going to the All-Star game. We were going to the X Games and stuff. So that was great, but it was all like sales focused.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't, at the end of the day, for me and my personality, I didn't care as much about how many more radio subscriptions or tacos were sold for Taco Bell or whatever, one of our clients. That didn't fit my personality. There's nothing wrong with people who want to do that. And so after a couple of years of doing that, I said, I want to get back into the actual like sport environment and figure out where and there do I fit in. And it just kind of turned out that I got a bunch of experience and kind of getting back into covering the sport the way I originally wanted to when I was like in 8th grade. Ended up coming like sort of back into my consciousness, and like that just like threw me out in the world, and that's where I've been ever since.
So, I mean, that's amazing. So you're telling me like you felt like you always wanted to do, whether it was what, journalism, broadcasting, you had that at a
Yeah.
young age, you knew you wanted to.
Yeah. Well, I think everyone says like I knew at an early age, like I was never going to be a professional. I just knew I wasn't. Like it's okay.
Right.
There's no harm in admitting it. And I was like in middle school, and I wrote for the little school newspaper, and I remember Missouri was playing Iowa State in just like a regular Big 12 like weekend matchup, and I was at home, and when they advertised for the school during the games, and
Mhm.
it said University of Missouri, the best journalism school in the country, that they give their spin on it. I just looked at my mom and my dad, and I said, I want to go there. And it just so happened that my aunt worked at GE at the time, and once a month she had to go to Missouri for business meetings. So one time she brought me out. I saw the campus. I applied the next day, and they had like rolling admission. I found out 2 weeks later, and that was it. So I always knew, like I always knew that that's what I wanted to do. I think when I was 21 or 22, I wasn't exactly 100% sure. But then after my graduate school experience and some other stuff, it just kind of cemented it for me. And now I wouldn't really look back.
No, it looks, I mean, that's all like it looks like it really just worked out for you. The fact that that just popped up and you're like, I'm going. I know.
You know, I don't think that I think there are very few people in this world where it just works out. Because even if their professional life looks like smooth sailing, and it could be, it doesn't mean that everything else in their world is just working out. So I sometimes I'm always I hate going looking at someone go, hey, you lucky guy, or
Hmm.
oh, like your life's the best. Like it's never that simple. I think what is so important is when you hear that inner voice, you hear that direction. This is a weird word, but to obey it, like
Mm.
listen to it. It exists for a reason. And you have to take hold of opportunities. Like literally things don't just get handed to people. But if you're listening to that voice and you're being proactive uh towards that goal or towards whatever it is for you, and this is sports, non-sports, this is everything. I think you will be rewarded. I think you will be rewarded ultimately. So um yes, it worked out. I'm very blessed to have the opportunities I've had, but I've had to turn down like easy jobs. Oh, do you want to work at this like insurance place? Do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? And while the money would have been right there, right then,
Hmm.
I had to listen, like, no, that's not right. It might be hard to get this sports job. It might be hard to stay in the industry that gives you that passion and reason to go day by day. Um, and you have to stick with it. You have to kind of obey it.
That's great advice, though. I would have to agree. I think you may have something, your mind set on one thing, and ultimately it's just never going to happen and go right around it.
Yeah. Yeah. I like honestly, even today, I mean, I just still push forward towards what I want to be doing. And it makes me a more passionate uh person, a more a better employee, a better, person that shows up every day.
I think it's funny we both found a way to just get away from New England for a little bit, huh?
Yeah, I'm very like thankful for growing up there. I think where I grew up in
I
Connecticut
love it.
is, yeah, it's a beautiful place. There's such a long like heritage. People are very passionate, strong-willed, uh types of people. I knew for me there was just more to this world.
Hmm.
And when I was 18, that meant going to Missouri. When I got my first job at that sports marketing firm, it meant Dallas. I never thought in my life I would live in
Right.
Dallas. And it was only like my stint in the Dallas office was only like 6 months, but you have to go
So,
take some of those chances. You have to go see something different. You have to just experience something different. And it really helps you to know who you really are. Because if you wake up and see the same thing every day, you're never really going to be like challenged, or your thoughts or your way of being is never going to be challenged, and you're never really going to have that chance to mold yourself.
100%. I'm with you. I think I can ultimately see myself going back. But similar to you, I mean, I've seen you've been all over the place. I definitely want to travel in some sense. I want to see
Yeah,
different things. I've seen New England. I've seen
yeah,
that side of things.
yeah,
And ultimately, if my career ends up being like traveling opportunity, I would love it more than
yeah, yeah. And I think it expands your network. It expands your understanding of the sports industry. One of the greatest things that happened to me at WVU was getting introduced to some international students. So I was Borman Hall was my
no way.
responsibility for my assistantship. And Borman, I don't know if it's still there, but
It
there's a
is.
converted fraternity house, sorority house that's called the International House, and it's a bunch of kids from all over the world. And um, they would have soccer on. They'd be talking about different sports, different things. You should check this out. You should try that out. And I remember leaving WVU and saying, I don't just want to work in sports. I want to work in international sports.
Mhm.
Like, listen, going to the Super Bowl is amazing. Going to the NBA Finals is amazing. These are the pinnacles of the sports. But being able to go to the Olympics, being able to go do this, and you get paid for it, like that's where my sights got set.
Mhm.
And that experience and with those international students and some of that stuff completely opened up my thinking of like what it means to work in the sports industry.
That's amazing. I noticed you did end up working for the Olympics. So tell me a little
Yeah,
bit about your like career opportunities and your journey through, because
yeah.
I was going through your accolades in a sense. I was like, he
Oh,
has been
thanks.
everywhere. He's
That's a nice word. Yeah, so after WVU, I got a phone call from the guy who heads up the editorial for the Olympics for NBC and on the broadcast side, and he knew like a family friend kind of thing, and he said, "Listen, I've got two questions for you." He said, "Is your passport up to date? And can you be in Beijing for a month this summer?" And I
Whoa.
said, "Yeah, my passport's up to date, and yes, I just finished my master's, and I'm looking for my next thing." And somebody had to drop out. They didn't have their passport in order. So basically, I worked in the research room during the 2008 Olympics, the famous Michael Phelps 8 for 8 and the Usain Bolt record. I have I don't know if you can see him, but I have the Chinese newspapers after each one of Bolt's races, and I met
Wow.
him. I met him about a handful of years later, and he signed them for me.
No
Um,
way.
but Yeah, so we worked in the research room, and it's a 24-hour clock given the time difference. It's a 12-hour time difference. So I worked the 5 a.m. to 5 p.m. shift, and I was in charge of covering 6 different sports. And basically, what would happen is producers, anchors, reporters would come to the research team and say, "Hey, I've got to get out to this archery match. I don't know anything about archery. Where are the Americans at? Do you have any interesting little tidbits, stories that we can do? Who should we talk to? Whatever." So you just kind of serve as like for lack of a better term, like a Wikipedia page, real quick, in all these different circumstances. And so I had baseball and softball, and then I had fencing, archery, badminton, and table tennis. Those were my 6 sports. So you just need to know, hey, where are the Americans at? Oh, hey,
Mhm.
they're in the quarterfinals. We may want to start focusing on them. This MLB player. Oh, Steven Strasburg was on the team. Hey, who's the Steven Strasburg kid? Tell me a little bit about him. So that was the job. And then I got back and I did the same thing for the Vancouver Olympics, but the difference here was leading up to the Vancouver Olympics, I was working for them to put together some of those research materials. I got to travel to Helsinki, Finland, to cover a hockey tournament, so we could do some research on some of the other players and women's players that were going to be at the tournament, so we knew who are these people we're going to be seeing on our TV screens. Um,
That's really cool.
yeah, and then I got the Bleacher Report job, but that's the Olympics. Um, that was that first sort of
Mhm.
like bolt right into my career.
What an opportunity right after your master's. Like that's
Yeah.
you couldn't ask for more.
No, no, and like I was flying to China, and like it doesn't
Wow.
seem real. It doesn't seem real in your brain, and then you get there, and this is insane, and you know that it's a once in a lifetime thing, but you still have to like, everyone knows like,
Like take
man,
it
I'm
all
working,
in.
I'm working at the yeah, well for sure, but it's like, hey, I'm working at the Super Bowl, but you know what? I'm gonna be in a TV truck the whole time.
Right.
I'm not out having a couple of drinks watching it. It's still work. Listen, it's still work, and you still have to be good at your work. You can't just
Yeah.
think you've arrived. And so yeah, amazing opportunities. I'm forever fortunate for a lot of that. but it really opened my eyes into what it could mean to work in sports and not just think, too locally or too narrow-mindedly, I guess would be the right term.
Oh yeah, I would definitely be forever grateful. That's so amazing.
Yeah.
Even hearing you talk about it, you're so like passionate, and I can tell that it was just such an amazing opportunity for you that
Oh
just
man.
obviously you're just never gonna forget.
I don't know how. I mean, I don't know how I could. I mean, there's other funny stories of just uh, being in China for a month and stuff that
Mhm.
happens, and but it was an amazing time, and it's just funny. You just sort of like slowly expand your network, and you
Mhm.
get these experiences, and yeah, like, and then, I'm working for Bleacher Report around the 2014 or the 2012 Olympics, and
Mhm.
Puma had reached out to us saying like, hey, we're gonna have this appearance with Usain in Manhattan. Do you guys want to come and interview him for 5 minutes? I'm like, of course we want to interview him. And I took those newspapers, and it's just funny how things come around, and yeah, I mean, honestly, it was the perfect jumping off spot for me at that time.
Opportunities arise, huh?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And but that's the thing, like, who's willing to take those opportunities or make those opportunities for themselves?
Right.
Some people are, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I would just gonna say, the opportunity only gets you so far. Like you can take it, but it's what you do with it. You can't just
Yeah.
jump on it, half-ass it, and then, you know,
Yeah. Yeah,
that's
and some people will see a job that they want, or they'll see a thing, go, oh, no, I couldn't do that. I'm not qualified. What would I do? Like, what would I do if I had to be away for 30 days? Well, I don't know anything about archery. I didn't know anything about archery. I just figured out enough so that I could do the job
right.
the right way. I figured out what resources I needed at my fingertips to make sure I could do the best job possible. And sometimes you have to go for the opportunity that might be a little bit outside of your comfort zone to really push yourself forwards. And it's like so cliche, but um, you know,
And
doing the
that's the
same.
mindset you have to have.
Yeah, and sometimes, quite frankly, you have to look at someone and say, "Yep, I can do that." And once you get off the call, you have to go figure it out. And nobody's 100% ready for every single role they're going to get, because it's just not
No way.
realistic. It's just not realistic.
It's not.
Yeah.
Tell me more about, because you said you got into Bleacher Report. Where'd
Mm.
you go from there?
So Bleacher Report, I was there for almost 9 years,
A long
and
time.
yeah. So I I I walked into Bleacher Report, and they were a couple years old, and that was the Bleacher Report that everyone knew, that was like
Mhm.
5 things to do at a Mountaineer game, right? And so it's just list, early internet, early social media
Right.
days. And then they got like an infusion of money from YouTube and from Turner Sports to become more of a lifestyle, holistic
Mhm.
kind of sports outlet. And I joined the video team very early, so maybe 10 people in this office, like early days.
No way.
Yeah. And just walked in as kind of like an associate producer, couple years producer, senior producer. And then the amazing opportunity came up when Turner TNT got the rights to the Champions League. And I was moved over to the soccer side because I'd done a bunch of work for Bleacher in soccer and had some connections
Mhm.
and things, and helped become the director of production on, at least on Bleacher Report's side, of covering the Champions League. So we got to travel a ton, send people to a ton of matches, tell amazing stories. I got to meet Mo Salah. I went over to Liverpool. I met Mo Salah, and you know, you get to do all these unbelievable opportunities, and those were just some incredible years covering the Champions League. And for people who aren't as familiar with soccer, Champions League is basically the NCAA tournament. But if you think about
Oh yeah.
every state being able to send like their two best schools, and hey, okay, let's see. So in Europe, it's every country gets to send a few of their best. And who's the best club team in Europe? Who's the, Africa has it. Who's the best club team in Africa, South America, whatever. But Champions League is this pinnacle tournament. And so that was just
Real deal.
incredible. Yeah, incredible.
Yeah, Champions League is definitely the real deal for those who are not aware. That's not
Yeah. It's the World Cup for sure, and then
right.
Champions League is probably the next most craved,
I would agree.
title to win. So
I
yeah,
would
and got to go to a couple of them. I was in Madrid
Whoa.
for Liverpool, Tottenham. I was in where was I? I was in Paris a couple years ago for
Wow.
Real Madrid, Liverpool again.
Wow. Good game right there too.
And then and I was at in 2013 I was in London for Bayern Munich, Borussia Dortmund was the final that year. So
Well,
yeah.
right. How many countries have you been to? Do you even know?
Not as many as you'd think. The only thing about like covering soccer and stuff is like so much of the interest is in England or in France or in Spain. So yeah, I've been to those.
Mm-hmm.
And so you tend to kind of focus there. I don't know how many I've been to.
I think you're being the humble in a sense.
No. I'm not one of those guys who's I'm not one of those guys who's like put a backpack on and like
go wherever.
Going around Europe for a summer and hey, I went to 40 countries. No, it's not anything like that. But the cool thing is building these relationships with teams. And I just had a phone call with RB Leipzig the other day. Like, so these German guys, and I'll talk to these Italian guys, and it's cool. And you get to just learn so much about the world, their work culture, their lifestyle, their sporting culture. It's very like enriching in different ways.
Definitely eye-opening, like to see. I think, like you just said, the culture is more than anything so different than what we live here, just entire.
Yeah.
I think that's one part. I think that's so cool, and I would love to do something like that. Like hearing you talk about it is inspiring.
Yeah, I mean, but it's not like out of touch, right? It's
right.
Everyone should find something that kind of inspires them to take that hard next step. And how can I get myself?
Mm-hmm.
How can I get myself working in this thing? Hey, maybe you go for a summer and you get paid basically nothing, and you're just maintaining, and you're not saving any money, and you're not going on extravagant trips. But hey, like you never know, the social media account for some team in Italy might be trying to expand and they need an English speaker. Okay, well, use your skill. You just never know, and that's the thing. Like, you just never know. I just got a phone call from the African Cup of Nations. They want to do a feature story in New York, and they know somebody who's worked with me before to say, he could do that story in New York around AFCON.
Wow.
And that's what I mean. You just never know. You have to answer those phone calls. You have to respond to those emails. You have to stay in touch with people, because seriously, like I hate saying this, but like the best ability is availability. And if people know that you have, you can do something for them, like it'll open up so much to you.
I love that. You really never know. An opportunity can arise out of nowhere. And I'm with you. There's that network, like you're saying. Everyone knows someone somehow, some friend, some relative, all over the world.
Exactly.
I was just in Greece this summer.
Cool.
I'm 100%
Greece. The last name I saw it.
Yeah, okay, there you go. And I was working this camp. This has no relation to any of my family. And I had multiple campers of mine that knew my papu, my grandfather.
Yeah.
I was like, are we serious? Like, we couldn't be further from home. He lives in California.
Yeah.
And like, even that's just a little thing, but
but that's the thing. And you may be able to go, let's say you wanted to work for a Greek basketball team. Maybe somebody knows your grandfather. Maybe you can get connected some way and work there for some. Hey, I worked in Greece on basketball for 3 months. Like, how it doesn't get much cooler than that, No. It's interesting, it's different, it's diverse, and it'll definitely widen your perspective of what it means to work in sports.
So cool. Are you bilingual by any chance?
No. we live in Tampa now, and
Mhm.
so there's a huge Cuban and Spanish population here.
Right.
The people who kind of founded Tampa were it was a guy from Spain and a guy from Cuba teamed up to make a bunch of cigar factories in Tampa. There's a huge like Spanish and a Cuban population here, so Spanish is like very
Right.
prevalent. I can understand enough. I can't speak it. I can
Mhm.
read it better than I can speak it.
Really?
Yeah, my son's teacher is Cuban, and it's awesome. I love the diversity of it.
Oh yeah.
But no, I'm certainly not bilingual. Thank God for
Oh,
like Google Translate and all these things now. So
that's funny. Their culture is
yeah,
amazing. Have you ever been to Mexico?
been to Mexico
Yeah.
a few times. Got to go to Tulum with my wife right after we got married. And then I covered USA, Mexico at the Azteca year and a half ago. It was a
Hmm.
World Cup
Qualifier? Is that what
the
you said?
World Cup it was a World
Yeah.
Cup qualifier for 2022. It was yeah, what must have been just the year before.
Mhm.
0-0, not too exciting, but it was cool to see Mexico City and just
Oh yeah.
go check that out. So,
Oh, it's beautiful. I've been before a few times.
do you speak Greek?
No, and it's
Oh,
I can
so you're like 99%.
right. I can hold my own. Like I can order food. I can, compliment and do the bare minimum, but I
Yeah,
can't hold a conversation.
it's tough. You got to be speaking
Yeah.
it every day. You
Every
can't
day.
just yeah.
But like being in
Yeah.
Greece for 11 weeks it was or 12 weeks. I mean, you pick it up. Like I ultimately I could go to a restaurant and be okay.
Yeah.
But I'm back here now and I feel like I've lost everything.
Yeah, you gotta find a way or do what you can to try
Duolingo.
to have a conversation. Yeah, exactly.
The
Exactly.
Duolingo is even it's like hard on that because have you ever tried using that?
Yeah, I did it for Spanish because I said like I gotta just
Mm.
like if I know what I know, I should just try to keep it going as much as I can.
But even they're like off. Like you know how like in any culture they have, like there's their own words and ways you say things that it's not gonna
It's
know
never it's never
that.
gonna be the same thing. You're never gonna just pick up on the jokes or
No.
the nuances of the language. It's very
Right.
complicated. It's
Or
very
the
complicated.
the slurs they have that aren't written.
Oh well. Yeah, just you're just never gonna pick up everything by using a computer program. So that's why I recommend go check out some stuff, see what you like, see what you don't like, and see
Yeah.
how it shapes your experience.
Yeah. Let me preface real quick, Ryan. This is gonna end on me. I'm gonna call you back because it does this.
You have the 40-minute thing.
Yeah, I was
Fine.
told I have like through the school they cover the long one,
Yeah.
and it's
It's
just
okay. Yeah, you have the 40-minute version.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
just go. We'll go through.
yeah,
We'll go
and
through.
I'll just come
All
right
good.
back. But just
Okay,
so you
cool.
know,
Yeah.
well, I don't know. I was gonna. I want to hear about CBS because I know you came there right after
Yeah.
Bleacher Report, right? How was that?
Yeah. So basically what happened with Bleacher Report, we had the Champions League contract for I think 3 years, I want to say.
Mhm.
But Turner Sports, who owned Bleacher at the time, and you actually saw the matches through TNT. Like Bleacher did so much of like the social promotion and coverage.
Mhm.
Um, uh, they had an out clause from UEFA. They were spending 20-30 million a year for the rights. If UEFA couldn't provide enough inventory, as in games, then Turner wouldn't have enough inventory to sell ads against. So they had an out clause. So during COVID, the tournament shut down. So there were less games.
Right.
So Turner executed its out clause. And then at that time, middle of COVID, whatever,
Mhm.
Turner was thinking about it and saying, if we don't have the Champions League anymore, we don't need this huge staff. And that was like one of the first career blows. I got to be honest with you. A bunch of 25 of us got let go one day because they just didn't want to. I mean, financially, I understood what they were doing from being there for 9 years thing. Yeah, it hurt. It hurt. Helping to build a lot of what that company and culture was, at least on the video side. So it was all kind of cloudy because my son was born a year or a month later.
Mm.
So it was like this weird time of like I lost my job, but wow, this huge life event is about to happen. So we had Cooper, and then shortly thereafter, CBS got the rights to the Champions League, and I had just connected with some people, and so I did kind of a similar role at CBS, a little different, creating feature content for them, covering the Champions League and some of their other properties. Serie A, they had NWSL, the National Women's Soccer League, and some other properties. But that was more of just like I think I had a 1 or 2 year contract, and did that for a couple of years, and then now I'm in the world of launching my own soccer agency. So
Saw that. I saw that.
yeah,
How's
yeah,
that going?
so we just started.
Okay.
We've had a lot of great conversations. I told you about the AFCON thing, so we're gonna have our
Right.
first production with them, and talking to some other outlets, and we got to do some work with Atletico Madrid over the summer with the 49ers. So we're in that stage now where we're just trying to like build a client list. So again, you know, it's challenging, right? Because you just don't
Right.
know if people are going to be receptive to your message, but it's informed by this voice right now for me and my, our partners. Like, now is the time to truly capitalize on soccer in the United States. The World Cup's coming, Messi's here.
Right.
The women's game has never been at the level it's at now, and
Mhm.
so proud to see all the gains that they're making. Everyone wants to be involved in soccer in the US, whether you're a brand, a player. I mean, look, the head coach of Chelsea women's team is going to take the women's national team job here because it's such a big opportunity.
Wow.
Her name's Emma Hayes, a phenomenal coach over there. But hey, the chance to coach the American team,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
a big opportunity.
Have to.
Yeah. So, and just talking to some of the clubs that we've worked with, Barcelona, they have an academy in Miami. The Argentinian Football Federation, they now have an academy in Miami. Atletico Madrid, they're opening one in Miami. Now, Miami, very much epicenter because of the Hispanic cultural
Right.
roots, but this is we are at a inflection point in the U.S. in soccer. So me and my buddy said, like, hey, let's do what we were doing at Bleacher Report, but let's do it on our own, but let's do it for clients.
Right.
And just taking a chance on it, just taking a chance and seeing how it goes. But you know what? Like, this is the stuff we love to do, and we're gonna keep pushing for it until we have to take a 9 to 5 that we don't want to do.
Right. That's a beautiful thing. So self-employment seems to be treating you well, Claire. You seem happy.
Yeah, I mean, it has its challenges. You have to
Yeah.
hustle. You have to hustle for yourself every day, and you have to hustle for your client every day.
Right.
But it's rewarding because you get to carve out a little niche for yourself that you might not have somewhere else. Like, there's only so many people in this world that get to do these certain jobs that we see. So if you're able to like carve out your own little alley and do that thing that you want, and make your money and support your family and all that stuff at the same time, like, I can't think of a better way to do it.
No, I couldn't agree more. So I see, or I can just tell you're a big soccer guy. But
Yeah.
from Connecticut, are you Boston? Are you with me, all four?
No. So,
Oh,
okay. So hold on. If you and I are in a sports bar and there's a bunch of New York fans and there's a bunch of Boston fans, I'm ride or die with you
okay.
until
That's
the
good to
bitter
hear.
end. I despise the Yankees.
Mm-hmm.
I don't hate the Mets. It's hard to
I
hate the
don't think
Mets, but
anybody does.
the arrogance of New York fans and
Oh,
the calling into the radio show, Otani should come to the Yankees for like our middle reliever. Oh, and by the way, they should give us money. It's like,
what?
well, that's how they call in. So you deal with those people where I grew up for long enough, and you don't want to see anything but misery and doom for them. Although, hey, I am open to any work for the Yankees and anyone else if they. Yeah, I'm just kidding.
Put
It's
that out
funny. It's funny.
there.
We live We live 5 minutes down the road from the Yankees spring training facility here in Tampa.
No way.
And yeah, it's pretty cool. And a bunch of the teams are here. You know, the Red Sox are in Fort Myers, and
There they
the
are.
Blue Jays are out, you know, so a bunch of teams right here. It was pretty
Mhm.
cool. Actually, one of our good family friends from back in Connecticut was a bat boy for the Yankees during the '09 World Series. But I mostly give him crap. Um,
You
I
should.
do, I do, I do appreciate Boston sports fans. But no, man, I was born in San Francisco, lived there for a
Okay.
year. I lived there for a year before my parents moved to Connecticut. And I'm a San Francisco Giants, San Francisco 49ers diehard. And
Wow.
not really the Warriors, because my dad didn't really raise us with the Warriors. So I'm not like a fake, like, oh go Dubs. Like, you know, like I'd be lying if I said that I was some like diehard Warriors fan. But no, Giants and 49ers.
Wow. Well, wait for this one. My grandparents, my mom were born in Pleasanton, California. If you
Okay,
know.
yeah, cool. Oakland, yeah.
Yeah, so
Well,
like
East
right
Bay, yeah,
right near Oakland.
yeah,
Um,
East Bay.
my grandfather's had Giants season tickets his whole life, so I've been to a, a million of those.
Amazing.
Huge Niner fan. My little brother's a Niner fan because they whipped him up. Um,
Right.
but again, like if it's not Sox, Celtics, Bees, or Pats, I'm over there. I'm with you.
Yeah. Nice.
But I'm glad
Yeah,
we're
I mean
on the
it's
same
it's
page.
funny. It's funny growing up because like it doesn't matter so much on Sundays because you know 49ers come on at 4:30 or whatever.
Right.
But growing up listening to or watching the Giants, I would stay up like I'd be that kid with the radio. I'd be watching to asking my parents to stay up too late to watch the Giants. And man, when 2010 happened, I
Oh,
never thought that was ever going to happen. And and the next three World Series were incredible. It's you know it's funny like all the coverage, all the different things, all the sports that I've been so blessed to be a part of. The Giants are still that's my team.
you're still.
I that's the team I care about. If they win or lose more than any other team, it doesn't matter. The Niners could lose by 50, and if the Giants are like playing the Padres on a Thursday night for some reason, I really care if they're gonna win. That's just always been that one team for me.
That I mean, I can't blame you. There's such a
Well, who's your team? Who's your team of the four? There's got to be one in Boston that you're like, I really care about that team.
it's the Pats.
Okay.
It hurts right now, but it's growing up with that dynasty. It just has to
Yeah.
be for me. That I
Did
would
you do you know how they say like a fish? Does a fish know it's in water? Did you
no
know at the time? Well,
no.
think about it. Does a fish know it's in water?
Like, did I know I had it good before I
Did
went?
you know that you were in the middle of one of the most epic sports franchises, not just football. I'm talking about everything. One of the most epic runs. I mean, how many Super Bowls did you lose? I mean, it's insane to just think about how many they lost, not just how many they won. I mean, you were in the Super Bowl or the AFC Championship every year.
Okay, to answer your question, for a while, no, I didn't realize it because I was young and naive, and I was like, okay, all I know is winning. And then
Yeah,
as
of
I got
course.
older and Brady aged, and I was like, this is like the best to ever do it right here. I'm never gonna see do it again. And it kind
Yeah.
of hit me like a little bit of a reality check. Like where did all the years go? And now I'm a you know, Sundays pain me. There's days I have to walk away. Almost every day I'm walking away from the screen. And
Yeah.
I got all these Pittsburgh fans in my ear, all these Eagles fans here. And like I live in a fraternity house right now,
Okay.
so Sundays are ridiculous. Like you have no
Yeah.
idea. It's mayhem.
Well,
But
Steelers won't win a Super Bowl for another like 50 years. Come on, let's be honest about that.
they're not even the worst. The Eagles fans are the worst.
Yeah. It's a weird sense of
Philly,
it's a weird sense of entitlement without a lot to back it up.
like not at all. When we played, I think it might have been like '08 or something. When we played the Steelers, and they were the Pats, more when they
The
were on
AFC,
the
yeah,
line.
yeah.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
AFC, and they booked their hotel for the Super Bowl and then lost. Did you know that?
I didn't know that, but that doesn't surprise me at all.
Because they thought we were pushovers. We weren't anyone yet. I love saying we like I'm on the team, but you
Yeah.
know how it is.
Well,
And then
it's funny with like the Eagles fans too, because it's like they went to all these championship games was it last year, and they lost them all, and it's like
Okay,
they a lot of talk and not a lot to back it up.
listen, um obviously like
They got
six.
beat by the Diamondbacks. Come on.
I mean, that's ridiculous. Let's call a spade a spade. But
Exactly.
um, well, especially Sixers too. I mean, as a Celtics fan, they never beat us. I mean, they beat us last night actually, but in games that matter, they don't do anything ever.
Yeah, the Sixers haven't been. I mean, they're relevant in terms of players they've signed, but
No,
they
and
haven't
maybe
really been relevant since Iverson.
no, and like even when like they'll do good in the regular season, and it doesn't mean anything.
Right. Right.
But I mean,
Yeah.
I thought that was whatever. I'm gonna loop it back around now for a sec, just to
Okay. Of course.
yeah, I'm gonna bring it back a little bit. And I was curious because again, how you said you're involved with W athletics a lot and stuff.
Mm.
What were some resources you used, even just being in the master's program? But obviously it's like such a great school and there's so much available. Did you have any resources specifically you felt really helped you in your career path?
What do you mean specifically? Like people in the network, or like, can you define the question just a little bit more?
Yeah, sure. I mean, you could say people more like, you asked me right away if I got involved with like a sports team. Like if you had
Oh
anything
yeah.
like that or like those kind of more opportunities, I guess, than resources.
Yeah, I mean, I think working with the football team in the Mountaineer Athletic Club,
Hmm.
even if that was never going to ultimately be my final destination, like get that on your resume. Get it on your resume. Do it for a year. Go check it out. Meet some different people. You're going to meet different people in the alumni network there. Maybe people from the sports management program, people not from there. Um, you never know like what coach who's on the team might end up at an NFL team, and maybe there's a job you're going to apply for. So you could reach out to them and say, hey, remember when we worked together at WVU?
Right.
Like this is totally random, and and not that I've done this, but I guess I could do this. But a couple of buddies of mine worked very closely with Rich Rodriguez when he was there. And then when Rich left West Virginia, which obviously wasn't very pretty at the time, I'm not sure if you know all that or not, but it was definitely a harsh breakup. But a couple of my buddies, Rich brought them to Michigan, brought them to Arizona. So these guys have
Ready?
had really cool careers because they were involved. And I
Right.
would just say like the best resource is just going down and shaking a couple hands and saying, hey, can I do anything for you during the season? Can I sell tickets? Can I drive donors to Rich Rodriguez's house, like in a
Right.
golf cart? And okay, for me personally, that ticket hasn't cashed in necessarily.
Hmm.
But for a bunch of the other people in our program, like we have some very distinguished people. One of my classmates, she's been like the associate AD or assistant AD at like a couple schools, and she was involved in the Mountaineer Athletic Club. Like that's what she did. Like she was very involved with that. And then they hired her on after, and then the guy that was the head of that brought her to this school, to that school, and she just kept climbing the ladder. And like so when I resources, like you have the resources.
Hmm.
Yeah, like your two usable hands in your brain, those are your resources, and being a professional and being good, but putting yourself out there, that's the difference maker. Like the people who don't get the jobs, the people who don't get the opportunities are the ones who like say, hey, I submitted an online application, I never heard back, okay, I'm gonna move on. The
Right.
people who go down and knock on a door, who volunteer and don't get paid anything but get the experience, like those are the ones you're going to see are willing to put in the effort to get where they want to land.
Yeah, that's great advice. I agree entirely. I think it's easy to underestimate or just kind of forget like how big of a school this really is. Like even just this, like the Flying Dove V, and then
It's everywhere, dude. I've been overseas. I've seen it in London. I've seen it. It's yeah, I mean it's wild. Like
everywhere.
it's not a small school. I mean it can get forgotten about sometimes. It's a big program. It's sent a lot of big names to the pros. It's
Mhm.
It's got a great legacy. It plays in the big time conference, and being able to use that experience is like that was one of the reasons I went there. Like there were other schools that I wanted to go to, but they were smaller, and I just never felt I was going to get the kind of exposure I want to. I mean, it's like a small little professional thing that just happens to be on a college campus. Like
Oh
there's
yeah.
not, but there's not a big difference between running an NFL team and running the Mountaineer, football team. Like it's a lot of work. It's very professional.
Yeah.
So get the experience and like the resources, people are your resources, research is your resource, but you're your own resource. Like you are able and healthy and can go and just like I said earlier, just like grab those opportunities for yourself. And you'll find that you work hard and you push forward, and people want to give opportunities out and they want to help people, and but you'll never find out if you don't try.
Right. Not to hit
Yeah.
you with the you sound like my dad, but his advice is always it never hurts to ask. And I always tell myself that because it's true.
Dude, that is one of my things. The answer is no, and no, but my thing is the answer is no until you ask.
Right.
Right? Hey, like, hey, are you hey, would you help me? Like, hey, would you help me with my yard? Well, the answer is definitely no, because I haven't asked them. And
Right.
you know what? If I ask, the answer could be yes. What's the worst thing? It's still going to be no.
That
So shoot your shot. Like shoot, honestly, shoot your shot. I've sent some emails. To this day, I think this broke my career wide open. We had a huge project at Bleacher Report for the World Cup in 2018, and I took on this special project. We were going to do these murals because when the U.S. didn't qualify, it was how do we celebrate the World Cup, even though the American points aren't there. So we had this idea. Okay, let's do this thing called larger than life, because like players over in Europe are like larger than life. So we focused on Neymar, Pogba, and Mo Salah. And so we created these gigantic murals, one in New Orleans, one in Miami, one in New York. And I got the job of trying to get these players to get involved. And if you know anything about European players, it is almost impossible. And I remember starting off the project and just saying, like,
No way.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
How am I going to, like, how are we going to do this? And a buddy of mine who I'd worked with previously had, there's this very, very famous soccer agent who just recently died, sadly. His name's Mino Raiola. One of the crazy, Zlatan Ibrahimovic's agent, Paul Pogba's agent. Like, he is an agent to, like, the mega
This
guys,
is the guy
right?
here.
Mino Raiola, yeah. And he's known for being like this crazy guy and saying whatever he wants to team presidents and team owners. And that's just his personality, right? My buddy had his phone number because he had done an interview with one of his players before. He gave me his phone number. And I had this guy's phone number, and I said, if I text him, why would he give a crap that I texted him about this project? They must get 1 million of these asks a day. Outlets from around the world want to deal with his players every single day. Why does he care about me? And I said, you know what? I'm just going to text the guy. I texted Mino Raiola. Look him up. The guy's, intimidating presence. He texted me back within 2 minutes and said, sounds like a cool opportunity. I'm going to connect you to like my business manager who would handle this type of publicity.
Oh, wow.
I got a hold of her. She now runs his organization. I got a hold of her. We got on a call. We worked out some of the details and things. And all of a sudden I had Paul Pogba booked for our project. So then when we went to reach Neymar's people and Mo Salah's people, I said, hey, well, Paul Pogba's already working with us.
Right.
And they're like, well, if he's working with you, it must be cool.
Whoa.
So now we had the 3 players. But if I never texted him,
You would have never got it.
exactly. And as intimidating and as scary and as low as, because you know what, it could have ended up totally the other way. I could have heard crickets and maybe have to find other players or whatever. But you just got to do it. Listen, I'm this like 28-year-old kid texting this guy. What does he care? But you know what? You have to like believe in what you're doing, and knowing that you have value in what you're doing. And
It
and it
never
worked
hurts to
out.
ask.
And now it's like, who, interviewing some different players and interacting with different people. I don't feel afraid.
Right.
I mean, the answer could still be no, but at the same time, it's like, okay, move on to the next one, and the
Mhm.
next one, and the next one. And that's just always been my mentality. Like, the answer is always no until you ask.
I mean, that's so amazing. Again, it never hurts to ask, but 2 minutes is insane. If it
I mean, that might have been luck. He might have just been like sitting there doing nothing and like, hey,
probably
oh yeah,
was.
yeah, yeah. you
He's
know,
probably texted someone, you popped up, he clicked it, and he
and just I got lucky. But that's the thing, and I don't. My message is not that you're 22, you graduate your program, and you're going to become the GM of a team, right? Shooting your shot might be a realistic thing to say. You know what? Like, I really want to work for the Patriots.
Mhm,
So shoot your shot. Find someone that you can contact. Tell them what you can do. Tell them that you want to get involved. But
mhm.
the other thing is, how can you get to the right person there? Be resourceful. Be thoughtful. Hey, I used to work with so and so who knows so and so. Maybe I can just at least get on a 5-minute call and do a bunch of that stuff. And like, part of that is also shooting your shot, because you're betting on yourself. You're investing in yourself in that way of like really taking the proper steps to get to where you want to go.
That's amazing. I'm still kind of in awe. That's a great story to tell. But
Oh, Domino Raiola. Yeah, it was actually very sad when he died, because
oh, he did? The one
uh
you were talking about?
yeah, I think he was in bad health for a long time. And
It's stressful. That job is ridiculously stressful.
yeah, I also don't think he was the healthiest of human beings, and he might have had some like genetic
Mhm.
stuff. But it's weird because when he died, it's like, Mino Raiola is like this. It's like Scott Boras or what, one of these agents, but like, I can't even explain to you like the so many people know who he is globally. And it's weird to just think like, hey, that guy, through answering one text,
Mhm.
like, changed so much in my career. I'm starting my own soccer agency based on the fact that I was able to like slowly go step by step, booking these athletes, getting them to do cool projects with us, getting to come on camera with us, getting them to do like Bleacher Report style content and stuff. And I it was like that thing in my back pocket. Like, we started with that one, and then we could go inch by inch by inch by inch by inch. And then after a while, you realize, wow, look at all these people we've worked with. Look at all these teams. Look at all these things that have come together. And so it was a little sad when I saw him
Mhm.
pass away. I was like, man, if that guy didn't answer my text message. And shout out to my buddy Jonathan in Paris for sending me his information to begin with. And so you look at some of those events that happen, but again, you
It's I mean,
gotta you gotta shoot your own shot. You gotta bet on yourself.
he doesn't even know how much of an impact he had on you. Like that's something to like,
No,
right, when you put that in perspective, like he has
no,
no idea that
yeah,
he helped you so much.
no, and
I
yeah, no. It's
no.
it's like truly insane. And yeah, but there's been so many kind people around along the way. Like, you just look at people who have been giving up their time or of their resources, of their believing in what you're working on, or wanting to get involved, and you just realize that like, over time, if these people weren't willing to be giving of themselves and their time, like, you'd have nothing. So there's so many people to thank.
There's still good people in this world.
There are plenty of them. But you have to ask.
You
That's
do.
the thing. But your dad is a very wise individual.
He is. He is. I'm sure he'll be
Yeah.
watching this at a later date. But I just looked him up too. He does look intimidating, this guy.
Yeah, he's just one of those like, say, I'm trying to think of a guy in like an American like owner, like
I'm trying to think.
agent guy who's just like, you know what, this is what I think, and I'm gonna say it how it is. And you think my player's worth 50 million? I think he's worth 100 million, and you can
Right.
go where you can go if you don't believe me. And Well, that's how he was with Zlatan, and that's how he was with a lot of his other players. And um,
Gave it to him straight.
uh,
I respect it.
he gave it to everyone straight. He has Zlatan has a very famous quote, which if you've ever read his autobiography, he's a very interesting human being. You separate the soccer out of it, it's just a very interesting human being. He has this quote, which is why be a Fiat when you can be a Ferrari? But that's the kind of stuff that Mino Raiola like put into his clients' brains. Like you could accept $10,000 for this appearance, or you could accept 50. Which one are you going to accept? They want to use you, so you decide. Are you the Fiat or the Ferrari? That was like one of his big sayings.
It's a good mindset to have.
Yeah, and not in a greedy way, and that's not, some of the players are greedy,
and
there's that, but just thinking about yourself and like what you're worth,
yeah, money's not everything, but yeah, your own self-worth. I would agree. I think
Exactly.
actually, not to go a little on a different note here, but I was thinking because you said you're a Giants fan. Do you
Yeah.
know Pete Patilla?
I don't know.
So he's your owner. I think I'm sure.
Yeah,
But he's a W alumni.
I did not know that.
Yeah, so we had him come speak last
Wow,
semester.
amazing.
Nice guy. I think he's the youngest GM in at least definitely Giants history. But my grandfather, the second I found out, I was like, he's a W alumni. Like, no way. He's coming to speak. Great guy, class act. And he's we gave him the whole gist on the alumni network and everything. And
Yeah.
I just didn't know if you knew that.
No, I didn't know that. That's amazing. I'll have to reach out to him. That's
Yeah, you definitely should.
that's pretty cool.
He'd be happy to hear from you. He's so like welcoming and whatever. And
Yeah.
my papu loves him. Like he thinks
My first message is going to be Otani, yes or no? Although I'm probably very unpopular as a baseball fan, I never like the idea of just going all in on one guy.
Oh, I'm with you.
There's 20, like if you watch teams that win World Series, it's 25 guys. Your
It's not,
relievers have to be good, your closer has to be good, your pinch hitters have to be good, and if you break the bank for one position, you put yourself in a lot of stress.
that's it. I was just talking to my brother like on that exact thing because he was like really like pushing to get Otani on the Sox. And I was like, we need a bullpen more than anything, not one guy in the bullpen.
Well, just look at the Angels. They had Trout and Otani in the
Didn't do anything
for years. I mean, well, they haven't had Otani that long, but
Yeah.
like think about Mike Trout. Like Mike Trout has had one of the most legendary careers.
right.
His games start at 10 o'clock at night. Most people can't watch them. And he hasn't really been able to win anything because that team is just not constructed in the right way. I think Shohei Ohtani is one of the most incredible in terms of what he's able to balance with the pitching, hitting, like athletes that we'll ever see. Do I think that a team like the Giants should break the bank? I don't know, but maybe I'll ask Pete about that. Maybe I'll reach out to
honestly.
him.
Definitely tell him.
If he is willing to answer me, we'll record it, and then you put it on your socials, and then you'll have breaking news about Otani, and then that'll launch your career. How about that?
Please, yeah. There's my golden ticket right there.
Yeah, and then you become the baseball news guy.
That's exactly what I'm looking for. I'll go work for Pete.
There are worse places to work in this world than 2424 Willie Mays Plaza.
Wait, it's not AT&T anymore?
No, I'm saying the address is 2424 Willie Mays Plaza. Yeah, it's AT&T. Awesome. It's AT&T Park. Yeah.
I love AT&T. I think it's a beautiful park.
Yeah. PNC, the shout out to the Yinzer homers over there, is an unbelievable stadium.
Beautiful.
San Francisco, I put it in the same kind of class.
No Fenway?
No, but it's different. Like I can't compare. I just, it's funny. After all these years, I went to Wrigley for the first time this past summer. Wow. Awesome ballpark. You just feel like you're transported back 100 years ago.
Really?
But it's a different vibe. It's just like a different vibe. It's Fenway and Wrigley are like the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
San Francisco, PNC, San Diego, like they've all been built in the last 25, 30 years. They're gorgeous. The concourses are huge. You can buy any kind of food you want. Your sight lines are perfect. It's like first class entertainment, but no Fenway. But you can't Fenway and Wrigley, they're in their own world, and they'll always remain there.
I was just making sure. I had the the opportunity to go to PNC for the first time last semester
Nice. Oh,
with
good.
with like some professors and students, and we got like a
Good.
suite or whatever. And yeah,
Nice.
everything's on the iPads, and like it's like
Yeah.
this, you get it right
But
away.
it's just a view. You come over the bridge, like you're
Beautiful.
looking out. I mean, you can't ask for much more. It's beautiful, beautiful ballpark.
Listen, I can't stand Pittsburgh, but it's a beautiful park. It is. I'll give
Pittsburgh,
them that.
Pittsburgh's a good place. I
You
have
don't have to
my
lie.
I have my arguments with the fans and how delusional they are, but it's not a bad place.
Yeah, I will say, I mean, I'm not a fan of Pittsburgh, but I tell my guys too, they have devout fans. It's a good fan base. I can't lie.
Loyal, they are so loyal.
And I'll give them that much, and that's about all I'm going to give them. But
All right, we'll leave it there. Let's cut it there.
okay, I had a question. Out of your whatever 19, 20 occupations you've touched, what was your favorite?
It's been one occupation. It's just
Okay,
been
yeah, the
different
occupation, with
roles.
yeah, roles in the occupation.
Mm,
Tough one, I know.
I like I'm not going to give you a specific one because in every role you have projects that you work on. You do different things, and you could go through a 3 week stretch where your job seems boring, and it might be a cool title, but you're working on invoices for paying off a bunch of camera people who you just worked on a project with, and your day is Excel spreadsheets and stuff. And you're like, oh, this role just seems awful. I
Right.
just think that any role where you get to bring creativity, like true creativity, like, hey, we're going to create something that we believe in. Um, and I've had those at different stops. You get them at different places.
Mhm.
Anytime you get to like truly be creative and then people respond to it is, yeah, it's hard to explain like how like gratifying that can be. But that's me. Like some people like to build teams, and some people like to work on spreadsheets, and some people like to be on the field 2 hours before a game getting everything prepped because they love that game day experience. Like that's for me. That's not for me. But in my world, like the creativity is important. And so I would say any chance you get to sort of exercise those muscles, that would be when my roles have been the best.
Okay, that was a good
Does that
answer.
make sense?
That
Yeah.
was a good answer. You didn't let me stump you there, I guess.
You can try to stop me or stomp me, whatever you got.
I don't think I can. I'll say this much. Well, one of my question was, because I've been asking everyone. I think you're like the third or fourth one that I've gotten to talk to.
Oh, cool.
In the sports industry, do you think it's more important? You think it's more important who you know or the experience? Like experiences under you. Like, do you think it's knowing the person or the experiences you have under your belt? Because I think people have different takes on this. I can tell you where I stand. I mean, I'm really early in getting my foot in the door with all this.
Mhm.
But I'm curious from somebody who has experience like you.
That was a great question. I think early on, early on, like where you guys are at right now, how could you have a big network? It's just not like,
Right.
listen, you're in high school, then you're in college, you're trying to figure out your place on campus, you're getting involved in other things, you're just building your own network there. And that's a normal progression of life. No one's 17 unless their dad's the owner of the Red Sox and knows everyone in the world. So I think early, getting any experience is vital. Why? Because at first, that starts to create your network. You like it's so weird. When I was in sports marketing, I'll make this one clear. I know I've done this a bunch. When I was in sports marketing before WVU, I worked at the All-Star game at PNC.
Yeah.
2 years later, me and my buddies wanted to go up to a game, and I got in contact with their director of operations who had helped me during the All-Star game because we had some like signage and stuff, and he was working with me. I hit him up and I said, "Hey, can we get a few tickets to the game tonight?" I
Amazing.
don't get that contact without the experience.
Right.
Okay. As you go on in your career, sure, it really is about who you know, but you better bring something. You
Yeah.
better bring some experience. You better bring some know-how because those people, now your contacts, when they go, yep, I'm gonna put you up for that job. I'm gonna put you in touch. They're putting a little bit of themselves on the line too.
Mhm.
If you come to me and say, "Hey, listen, I really want to work for the Tampa Bay Lightning," and I say, "Okay, I'm going to send this guy over to you. He wants to work for you, Tampa Bay Lightning." Let's say that you don't have good experience and you're not going to do well at that job just because you don't have the experience. Well, now they're going to look at me and say, "Well, why would I trust him again?"
Right.
So get the experience first. Get any experience. Meet some people. Get some phone numbers. Just and find out where, because they're all going to spread out in the world, and then it's who you know.
Mhm.
But you better bring something when you knock on those doors and send those text messages. That's what I would say.
That's a great take. I enjoyed hearing your side of it because I agree. I think that makes
Well, what do you think?
yeah. So okay, I'm with you in the sense. I think experience only goes so far because at some point, like I'm with you that you need to get the experience. But say you have the same experience as somebody, but you know the guy, then you have that in already. And
Right.
you're right. It's how you
But you need to have the experience.
right. I would
Yeah.
agree. I think experience is
Yeah.
definitely important. And kind of like you said, there's no way for a 20-year-old like me to have the connections yet, right?
Go get your experience. Go work for the
Right.
football team. Go work for the minor league baseball team. Go whatever. Like
Mhm.
just just get some experiences.
Yeah.
See what you, and also see what you like and what you don't like. You may hate working for a football team. You may like, this is the worst job in the world. I don't know why people love it. Or you may say like, I can't imagine not working for an NFL team for the rest of my life. Just
Right.
you'll never
But you'll
know.
never know unless you have the
Yeah.
experience and then hate the
Mm,
experience.
yeah. I want to give you an interesting tidbit. So a couple of our friends from New York, he's a musician.
Mhm.
Um, and we were just talking when I was like, I don't get it. I see these people like at bars and stuff, and they've got incredible voices and they've got incredible talent, and yet you see some of these people on the radio, or sorry, you hear some of these people on radio, you see them on Spotify or wherever you're listening, and like they don't have a good voice. Their voice isn't like a great voice. They're not like great musicians, and it's just so true. It's like
Mhm.
they probably just knew the right person. They found a way to find a way. Like that's the difference, you know? And that's always just been very important to me to like never never just rely on like talent or whatever, but to expand the network and keep getting experience.
Oh no, I couldn't agree more. I think it's easy to tell who hasn't worked a day in their life and had it handed to them.
Right.
Because like you said, I mean, it's evident, it's clear when it's not because you're like, okay, well, you haven't done anything. How are you even here?
Yeah. Right. Right.
I
Exactly.
agree. I agree. This thing is gonna run out on me soon.
Okay.
So I just in case it hits you, I wanted to thank you, Ryan, for joining me today.
Well, no,
Seriously.
this is awesome. When your LinkedIn ad came through, I said, "Hey, that sounds awesome."
I
And you
know.
know what? You shot your shot. Not that I'm some like
No, but
person. No, I mean that honestly. Like, listen, there are getting the GM for the Giant. Like, those are people. Okay, I. It would be my dream to like work with him. But like you're making something of your own here. That's cool, and it's gonna lead. It's gonna open a lot of doors for you because let's say there's a job here one day, and you're like, hey, you know what? Ryan lives down in Tampa, and the Bucks are hiring, or the Rays are hiring, or whatever. Like, I wonder if he knows somebody. Like, and you just have no idea. So
right.
I think what you're doing is very proactive. Not only are you trying to revive like the Mountaineer like network in the sports management program, but like you're doing something for yourself. You're doing something for your classmates, and that's very honorable.
I appreciate the kind words, truly. I think it's important. Like it's too big of a school or too good of a program to not be connected with people like you, people like Pete, whoever it may be. And I think that's
There
why
are so many people out there who I bet you if you gave them a ring would pick up the phone and give you some of their time and I think that's definitely something that distinguishes this program. It always had a bit of a family feel when I was there. Um, and I think it's really cool the culture that's been created. And I love that you guys are reviving it.
yeah, I appreciate it. I think I couldn't agree more. I think Morgantown is just such a college town. It's warm. It's ridiculous, mayhem, hectic, but it's awesome.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
I'm definitely gonna send all of our the Instagram and the YouTube your way.
Yeah, please do.
I'm worried about
I'm not much of an influencer, but I'm happy to share it as much as I can.
I'm worried about your critique because this is your field a little bit, but I'm up for construction.
Why would I critique you when you're not getting paid? You're doing this on your do your thing. Like, some content out is not even the prettiest or the greatest content, but they do a good job in who they get and how they position it. So I would never critique you. Plus, I've been doing this for like 20 years. Like, it's not fair. Like, so
I don't
I would
mind.
definitely.
I'll take it.
If you want like honest feedback, sure. I would never just critique you. That's not my personality at all.
Okay, I will probably. I honestly, I'm going to ask for some, so I'll
Okay.
send it your way.
Okay.
But even so, like, hopefully you enjoy it because we've had a few guests already, like yourself, and you get to even see some more alumni that you maybe
Yeah.
you know, maybe you do know. But
It's smart. You're going to create a lot of great connections for people, and a lot of people are going to benefit from this. I can guarantee that for a fact.
it's very exciting. It's been awesome. We made a lot of progress this semester. So
Yeah.
thank you for
Just keep grinding. Like, honestly, keep grinding, keep grinding, keep grinding. You know what? Someone's going to call you one day and say, "Hey, you interviewed me once. I was wondering if you'd work for me."
No, I couldn't agree more. I remember. Well, one, thank you again for being so eager to help me out. I remember when I messaged you and then you were quick to respond and you're like, give me a call. And I called you and I'm always very formal and I was like, Mr. O'Leary.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
you're like, James, I'm gonna hang up the phone.
Shut that down. Shut
Yeah,
that
I'm gonna hang up
down.
the phone.
I want to bring this back full circle.
Yeah.
The people I've mentioned on this this conversation here, they responded to me. They helped my career out. What a hypocrite I would be if I didn't respond to you.
I think that's fair, but it's admirable. So
Yeah.
again, it's gonna cut me off, but I want to thank you again.
Come on, man. We got 67 seconds. That's a lot of content.
Oh, you're right. Maybe
I'm just kidding. No. You're good. You're good. You're good.
Awesome,
You're good.
Brian. It was a pleasure. I'm sure I'll cross your path at some point.
All right.
But I'll send you it all. I'll send you the email and whatever.
I just need you to have one beer at Mario's Fishbowl for me. That's the big.
I can do that.
That's the big one.
I can't do that. I'm 20 years old.
Next year, I want you to have one beer at Mario's Fishbowl.
December. I'm almost.
Give me a call. Give me a call.
I will.
What do you do? FaceTime me from there.
I got it. I will.
All right, man. Thanks so much for your time.
All right. Definitely. Thank you, Ryan.